One time, a guy won $533 million in the lottery, but his luck is nothing compared to this woman's, because the creature she's holding is the blue-ringed octopus, aka one of the most deadly and toxic animals on this earth. Because just one bite from this cute little critter is enough to put 26 men 6 feet under in just a few minutes. This golf ball-sized menace has a toxin 1,000 times more potent than cyanide, but probably one of the worst things about it is that it's so tiny that if it pricks you, you won't even know. Until about 5 minutes later when you start vomiting, bleeding, and can't even see straight. And 10 minutes after the bite, you'll start to have trouble breathing and experience paralysis. And once you hit the 30-minute mark, you'll be taking your last breath. Just to give you a frame of reference, the Kings of Pain, aka the guys who voluntarily took a bite from a python, refused to even touch the blue-ringed octopus because of how dangerous it is. The moral of the story here is that if an animal is bright and colorful, God did that as a warning sign to let us know that they're extremely dangerous and toxic and probably not suitable for a casual TikTok. This insect is said to generate the worst pain that a human can experience. American scientist Dr. Schmidt voluntarily took over 1,000 stings from the world's deadliest insects just so he could rank which sting was the most painful, and at the top of that list was the bullet ant. Dr. Schmidt described a sting from a bullet ant feeling like you're walking on flaming charcoal with a 3-inch nail embedded in your heel. And this pain can last up to 24 hours and it literally feels like you were shot by a bullet. And that fact is what makes this next part literally blow my mind. There's a tribe in Brazil, and for their coming of age or initiation, 13-year-old boys have to go around the forest and collect a bunch of bullet ants. Boys then stick their hands inside of a pair of gloves that are lined with the dozens of bullet ants that they just collected. The boys then must endure the agonizing stings for a full 10 minutes, and this whole cycle repeats 20 times. Now, to see how painful this really was, Australian comedian Hamish decided to go and try this out for himself, which I wouldn't recommend, because just 2 hours after he was stung, he just couldn't take the pain anymore, and they had to rush him to the hospital and give him morphine, and it took him a full 8 hours before he could even talk properly again. So a lot of people are upset with me after I said that the bullet ant generates the worst pain that a human can experience, with people saying that a sting from the executioner wasp is far more painful. Just for reference, American scientist Schmidt took over 1,000 stings from the world's deadliest insects just so he could rank which one was the most painful, and number 1 was the bullet ant, which induces pain similar to being shot by a bullet. However, because the executioner wasp is more of a newer species, it wasn't actually ranked on the pain index by Dr. Schmidt. So wildlife YouTuber Coyote Peterson decided to take it upon himself to rank the executioner wasp sting against that of a bullet ant. And he described the sting from the executioner wasp being far worse than the bullet ant, as the executioner wasp pumps a cytotoxin that can last for days and can also cause necrosis of the skin at the injection site, which is just rotting flesh. But this is where it gets interesting, because YouTuber Danny Berk decided to take 7 stings from an executioner wasp just to prove that Coyote Peterson was perhaps overreacting, and Danny's verdict was that it wasn't even that bad. So some people say that the bullet ant remains the king of stings and some don't, but what do you think? This is a perfect example of one of those things that you should just never do, because what we're looking at here is the deadly blue dragon sea slug, and while they're only about an inch long, they're immune to a ton of venoms that can easily unalive humans. And not only are they immune to it, but their favorite food is extremely venomous creatures such as the Portuguese man-o-war. And just for reference, a sting from the Portuguese man-o-war is enough to send you on the fast lane to the ER or 6 feet underground. But after the blue dragon finishes feasting on the man-o-war, it actually recycles and concentrates the venom that it just consumed, then uses that reconcentrated venom as a defense mechanism to dish out a more powerful sting than the man-o-war that it just ate. Also, the blue dragons float around upside down, with their blue stomach facing up to camouflage in with the surface of the water. So this is the one time where floating belly up doesn't mean dead, but means armed and dangerous. And as if God didn't already make them OP enough, they're also hermaphrodites, which means that they have both female and male reproductive organs. Moral of the story here is that if you see an animal that's bright and colorful, God did that as a warning sign to let you know that they're extremely dangerous and you probably shouldn't touch them.